Welcome to Buckets! Coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name is Matt Moore. I'm joined by Sean Little at Chicago Flow and Albert Nguyen, the Analytics Capper at Analytics Capper. This is your Wednesday, March 26th, best bets in the association. We'll give you best bets. We got some plays on one game in particular, and we got some questions about the LA teams. Just got some questions about these lines for these LA teams. We'll get to all that and more on today's show. Real quick, take a second, go to youtube.com/The Action Network and hit the like and subscribe button. Great way to support our show. We have so many producers that work to make our videos look awesome, and I would very much like it if they were rewarded by growing our YouTube page. So if you've been listening to the show for a while and you listen to it on the podcast version, just go to youtube.com/The Action Network and hit that like and subscribe. You can also leave a 5-star review. You can do both of those things. It takes like literally no time. You're on the train. Don't lie to me. You're not doing anything else. Come on, just do it. All right, before we get to best bets for the day, we do need to talk about the biggest news of the day, which is Chris Haynes, who has a very close relationship with Damian Lillard, has reported that Damian Lillard will be out indefinitely after being diagnosed with a blood clot in his right calf. League sources tell Chris Haynes he's on blood thinners, which has stabilized the blood clot. He'll continue to get regular testing to get him back to good health. Dame, in a statement, it's unfortunate that something outside of my control would come up. Along with the Bucks medical staff, our priorities are to protect my health and safety. As much as I love basketball, I need to be there for my kids and my family. I'm grateful the Bucks acted quickly on this. They've been supportive and proactive throughout this process. I look forward to moving past this and continuing my career. So the odds of him returning this season are basically zero. Like, it would be very, 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 very shocking if he returned this season. So that's pretty much it for Damian Lillard with the Bucks. Now, my initial reaction to this, Sean, is actually to kind of go the other way, which is like, all right, if you take Dame out of the equation, I worry about the offense, but now you can just be like, let's put as many defenders on the floor that can shoot and Giannis, and we're just going to roll this thing back to 2019. They don't have Chris Middleton, which sucks because they should have Chris Middleton instead of Kyle Kuzma. But like, my inclination is to want to veer here a little bit. I don't think I want to purchase anything on the Bucks as far as tickets goes, but that's my inclination, Sean, is to swerve on this and go the other way, because it does take a negative defender who has been pretty spotty with some of the on-off splits this year, and it makes them into a much more simplified version of the Bucks.
Yeah, and that's what Doc wants to do anyway, right? Like, they want to play defense. The defense has gotten better over the last, I would say, 25 games or so. They've been pretty efficient on the defensive end. I'm actually not mad at the Kuzma addition. I think offensively it just gives them a guy that could get them a look where it's like an improved, I guess, Gary Trent on the offensive end, that a guy that can put it on the deck a little bit. But yeah, they're going to have to figure out some type of pivot. And if that is the pivot, defense is going to have to be first. It's really difficult when we know we can pencil in Giannis for 30, 12, and 6, no matter what. It like doesn't matter the game plan or who they're playing or whatever. He's going to show up. They just have to figure out how they're going to attack the rest of the way down the stretch, and then they're going to bump into teams like potentially the Knicks that are a little more healthy and a little more solidified offensively. So that defense is going to have to be something that they lean on. But yeah, I think the only silver lining here is that Dame left them a few games to get acclimated without him. This could have been announced, a week before the playoffs started, and I think that'd be a lot more of a disaster than him missing the rest of the season, which is already a disaster. So that's the silver lining. But yeah, they're going to have to figure out how they want to attack the rest of this stretch, and then how they want to orchestrate the rest of the roster going into the playoffs, specifically with matchups on defense.
I use this data a lot, and you got to be real careful because like it's context dependent. Like if you're playing against starters, it's going to be harder to have good numbers than versus the bench. But I will say, Giannis without Dame has better numbers offensively than Giannis with Dame this season. What's interesting is like Dame is actually like the best. Like the defense doesn't move at all. Now, when you take Giannis off the court and you have Dame on, the defense explodes into a million pieces and scatters across the roadway. So AC, like I just kind of wind up being like, look, it's not good. It's definitely not good. I worry about them from a number of perspectives, and like, I guess here's like the real question. Okay, Pacers is one thing, and I don't really like. I like the Pacers a lot, and I want to bet the Pacers, and like I'm just like I don't want like the Pacers less now that Dame is out. But let's say that they do get by the Pacers in the 4-5. How does not having Dame, playing more defense, playing more Giannis, how do you feel like that matchup goes with the Cavs, AC?
Yeah, man. I mean, you and I, we've been doing this together now for 3 years. This is our third season together. I always zag when everybody zigs. That's always been my MO. But this is a hard team to really buy into. I know Giannis is still one of the best players in the NBA, but without Dame, and you're right, when you watch them play together, it's not like they're coexisting really well, anyways, right? It's let Giannis eat. He's still gonna get his 30 and 12, like Sean mentioned. And then if Dame is hot from three, then he's gonna add that firepower offensively. But it's not like they were meshing from an offensive standpoint. That could be them too as players, but I'm also gonna put a little blame on Doc as well. But with that said, it's just not a path. Like if you look at the East right now, you mentioned the 4-5 matchup. Like I don't even know if they're gonna stay in the fifth seed, right? The Pistons are tied with them 41-32. I think they're winning tonight. We're recording on Tuesday night. So they're going to jump Milwaukee. And who knows if Milwaukee can sustain and keep Atlanta and Orlando from catching up. So, and Chicago's been on fire. So it's hard for me to even see a path where Milwaukee stays in that 4-5 bracket. But having to play Cleveland in the second round potentially is already, David versus Goliath, in my opinion. And without Dame, they're not going to be able to keep up with Cleveland's like offensive efficiency, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think to go back to what we originally you mentioned, Matt, with Dame on the floor, Milwaukee gives up the most points to point guards in the entire NBA. And that means in the East, Darius Garland, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, all those guys are the typical, or depending on seeding or who the point guards they were going to have to see. They're going to get better there no matter who's on the floor, but they just have to figure out this I guess new look identity as they go into the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, Garland was going to torch them. Any point guard they saw in the East was going to have success. It was how they were going to work around that. Now maybe they could, get better at least at the point of attack at the one, and then figure out how they want to balance the rest of it.
Can New York get by him? Sean?
Say that one more time.
Can New York get by him?
Can they get better?
No. Can New York get by the Bucks? Like if they go in there and it's Giannis and a bunch of defenders and a bunch of 3-point shooters, with how piss poor the Knicks defense has been this season, with Lil Jalen Brunson and Cat, like can the Knicks have so much more offense? So to like Albert's point, like they're just not going to have enough firepower. On the other hand, it helps not having any firepower is playing the Knicks defense. So I don't know, like what like how do you feel about that Knicks matchup?
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, I've been worried about the Knicks for a little while.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out a matchup in the East that I would like them to see, and there wasn't really one I could come up with. I don't really want to see Detroit as a Knicks guy and working for the network.
That's the Knicks.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of like that's similar to what I did. It was like Detroit, pass, Milwaukee, pass, Pacers, pass because of the familiarity and just how that went last year. Scared's not the word, but like there's no easy series for the Knicks. Hopefully JB gets back. He's out of the boot. I saw him today actually in the tunnel, and he seemed to be moving all right. But we're not going through any drills or anything. But the playoffs and that opening series for the Knicks is going to be tough regardless of who it is. So of course they can get a dub, and I think they will offensively. They could just overwhelm you a little bit when JB is healthy, but yeah, they're going to be tough series for sure.
All right, let's do some best bets for the Wednesday's slate. We'll go around the horn. We will shout them out, and then we'll do the cap on them. Albert Nguyen, what's your best bet for Wednesday in the association?
Yeah, just talking about the Knicks, I'm going to fade them Wednesday night. I like the Clippers to win early and often tomorrow night.
Well, you mentioned winning early. Sean Little, what's your best bet for the Wednesday slate?
Yeah, early. The Clippers first quarter, it's not out. Money line, I would lay minus 1.25, minus 130. I would lay a half point in this spot, depending on what you see. It might even get up to 1. But yeah, I like the Clippers in the first quarter.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Los Angeles Lakers on the money line plus 100, and I'm going to take the Bucks, but this is a after the line moves. If then, not just an if then, it will happen. When then? When then is the statement here. Let's talk about this Clippers game. Sean, tell me why you want the first quarter, and then we'll talk to AC about the full game.
Yeah, I mean, this is just something that's been a detriment to the Knicks all season long. They've been absolutely horrific in the first quarter. It's like clockwork. They gave up 35 points tonight to Dallas, tightened up in the second half, but got the W. But full season, 25, 42, and 3 ATS in the first quarter. That's worst in the NBA by a wide margin. They're going to be on a back-to-back. They've been horrific on back-to-backs all year long. 2-9 ATS. That's the worst in the NBA. And this is always something that jumps out to me. The Knicks have been favorites at home, no matter the matchup, almost the entire season. This is the third time they'll be an underdog at home. Their plus minus ATS in those games they were underdogs is minus 23. In other words, when they're underdogs and the market is setting a number at Madison Square Garden where they're not favorites, it's a difficult number to hang. And the Clippers are coming off 2 full days of rest against the Thunder squad. So it's not like they're on a back-to-back and then they travel the next day after playing a hard-nosed Thunder team that will win the West, by the way. That's my best bet every episode, by the way. The rest of the bucket season is the Thunder to win the West. But before I get off track, they got 2 full days of rest. This is a really good spot for the Clippers to get a W, start early. And this is not like the Knicks were struggling, lost 2 games, came home. They've now won 2 in a row, covered double-digit numbers. But it was against the Wizards, and it was against the Dallas Mavericks without Anthony Davis. Defensively, this is going to be an entirely different look from the Clippers. Campaign has done a solid job filling in for Deuce McBride. We'll see who ends up playing. Always check the injury report. But every single night, the Knicks struggle early in the first quarter and then pick it up even when they do come back and win games. It was 37. They allowed 35 points to the Mavericks in the first quarter. Najee Marshall was going crazy. This is a bad matchup, in my opinion, for the Knicks against the Clippers. Early, I do like them and lean full game, but first quarter, the Clippers should take care of business here coming off 2 full days off.
Knicks 25, 42, and 3 first quarter this season. That is 20 for ROI. It's minus 30% ROI. So plus 30 fading them.
Yeah.
Woo! All right, AC. So that's Sean's look at it. What's your angle on wanting the Clippers for the full game?
Yeah, so when you look at teams coming off a second night or playing a second night of a back-to-back, it makes a lot of sense, Sean, in terms of fading that first quarter spot. But I've always liked to just fade the entire game in general, just because if we're really focused on the rest advantage, and the Clippers do have a very, very clear rest advantage Wednesday night, you would think that it would be a long burn, right? It would be all 4 quarters. The second half of the fourth quarter is most likely when the Knicks, who are shorthanded, will be a little tired and fatigued. So I like the Clippers, and plus LA's been my team since the All-Star break, right? They've before the last game against OKC, and they honestly could have stolen that game as well. They've been on fire. I think they won 9 of the last 10. Now, if you include that OKC game, they've won 8 of the last 10. I still think this is a great team. They're going to be super hard out in the playoffs. And the guy that's really rounding into form, because James Harden has been spectacular all season long, is Kawhi Leonard. Guy, he's getting his feet under him, and he's gonna tear up that really bad Knicks defense.
He played 40 minutes the other night. Kawhi Leonard played 40 the other night. Now he gets 2 full days off. I agree with AC. He's back fully trying to make a little push here to make some noise. And Matt, I get you. I get the doubt.
Fully though, not fully. This is not peak Kawhi, because peak Kawhi was up there. But
we're talking about of late.
It's still not peak Kawhi, man. We're talking about the best two-way player in the game.
No. But what I'm saying is that him playing 40 minutes is a massive indicator to me that he's locked in and trying to push for the end of the season and into the playoffs. Kawhi flat out wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
against the best defense.
Robinson tomorrow night, I mean, it's going to be a layup line for the Clippers, in my opinion, because they have the physicality, right, to take it to Cat, who's going to try to defend the rim. But then they also have, James Harden. Again, he's been playing really, really good. I want to give James Harden his flowers, because I haven't been a fan of him his entire career. But this season, he's really won me over. So he's playing that pick and roll game really well, and he's going to find the shooters to get This is the perfect team, in my opinion, for a team that struggled on offense. They only scored 101 points against the Thunder. Elite defense. Now they see the Knicks. They're going to drop 120, 125, in my opinion. So I like the first quarter look as well. I'm just a little more confident in the full game.
And last point here, Matt, before we get to you. I'm worried about the Knicks not having a real ball handler. Like, if Deuce goes, Deuce is not a point guard. He's not a ball handler. Campaign is not a guy I want handling and pulling the strings against the last 15 games, a top 10 defense that's physical, like AC just said, in the Clippers. So that worries me a little bit too. I think it's just a bad spot for the Knicks, and the W's that have been coming have been against not the most quality squads without JB on the floor. Mikal Bridges without Brunson on the floor has scored like 15 plus and 8 of 9. He's averaging 23 points, but he's going to have a rougher go at it as well. A lot of pressure on Cat against a bad matchup and an inconsistent Bridges on offense. I just don't think they're going to be able to create enough versus a defensive team and the Clippers coming off 2 full days.
I'm on the angle. The Clippers are among those teams that I've had to decide that there's not always a win in being like taking a strong position on teams like this that exist in this nebulous back and forth purgatory, where it's like I can come out and be like, the Clippers will never be healthy, and then they're healthy one time, and it's like, well, I guess that time they were. Or I could be like, this is it. I believe it. This time it's gonna happen. What? What are you doing, Lucy? Like, that's, so I don't. My thing is, I'm just like, I will bet the Clippers series by series, and we'll see. I'm still a little skeptical on the offense overall, but I did look this up this week. So they have a 110 offensive rating without Kawhi. That's horrible. It's wretched. You're basically like throwing bricks in the trash can. With Kawhi, it's 117. 7 points better per 100 possessions. It's a massive differential. That takes you from like, you are the Magic, all the way to you're really good. So we'll see what happens. I don't mind the angle, though, on the Clippers tomorrow night, or tonight, as you're listening to this. So, okay. The Lakers laid 4 on the road versus the Magic, and they're plus 1.5 versus the Pacers. Okay. So I look up the injury report, and I expect to see like a bunch of Lakers with like question marks, and they're just hedging their bets and being kind of careful. Nope. Rui's probable. LeBron is probable. Bronny's in the G League. That's it. Like, they're fully healthy. They've lost 2 in a row to the Bulls and the Magic. They were bad. And there is part of me that is like, did they get found out? Because there was a scout that texted me and was like, look, it kind of depends team by team how much you pay attention to the scouting report. He's like, but I do think there's probably a book out on the Lakers now defensively and how to not get caught in what they want to do, because they can only do so many things with their personnel. Luka was like barbecue chicken versus Franz the other night. I mean, just absolute, like, he was shredded. Not the barbecue's not right. Like that good tinga chicken that you put in the slow cooker all day. Like that's what Luka was. Like, it just, you put the fork in there and it just shreds. But That said, I can't get from Lakers -4 versus the Magic on the road, Lakers +1.5 versus the Pacers on the road. That's a 5.5 point difference between the Magic and the Pacers. I can't get there. And so I am willing to go ahead and once again roll back with, okay, Jackson Hayes is playing, Rui Hachimura is playing, Luke is playing. That combo has been lights out. I will bet on some regression here, and I will go ahead and back the Lakers +100 on the money line. The final one is Bucks and Nuggets. Nikola Jokic is doubtful. Aaron Gordon's probable. This is not insider info. I have not texted with anybody in the Nuggets organization about this, but I cover the team and I know how they operate. I would not be surprised if Nikola Jokic is upgraded to questionable when you're listening to this on the first report around noon Mountain Time on Wednesday. That he's upgraded. He goes from doubtful to questionable, and then he plays tomorrow night. I think the plan was always to have him play in this Bucks game. That they were giving him the extra time off, and now he'll go because he's listed out with an ankle. And I'm not sure where the ankle injury occurred. He's had a shoulder injury and an elbow injury and a wrist injury and a back injury, but I don't know where the ankle came from. So I'm expecting him back. When this moves, I will want the Bucks, even without Dame. So the key for me really is that Denver has one of the absolute worst teams against teams that are good. And the Bucks are good. They're not great. They're not awesome, but they are above the line at which the Nuggets simply can't beat these teams. They don't. The Nuggets beat up on mediocre and bad teams, period, and dot. That is who they beat with a couple of random throw-ins. You're like, well, they just beat the Warriors and they just beat the Rockets without Jokic. Yes, they did, because this is March and this is the insanity that happens. But the overall tapestry, the win profile of the Denver Nuggets says that they do not win this game. They've been bad at home. It's been great fading Denver against good teams at home. So I will go ahead and I'll grab the points. I'm not going to say Bucks +4 is a best bet because I don't think +4 is the number we're going to get. Now, if I'm wrong, you can wait. And if this comes out and Jokic isn't going to play and it moves to Nuggets -2, walk on by. No reason to mess with it. You don't need that's not any good. +4 if it stays here, I don't mind it. I'll be on Bucks +4 at some amount. If it moves further by a point or more, then I'll be a little bit more significantly on the Bucks, probably 3/4 of a unit. So that's my best bet. Albert Nguyen, the AnalyticsCapper, likes Clippers -2.5. Sean Little likes Clippers first quarter. I like the Lakers on the money line and the Bucks at whatever number they get after the line moves. That's your best bet for Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you guys being with us. But thanks, David Payne, our producer, adapting to changing schedules tonight. Michael Fiddle will be back with us next week. He's not feeling well. Hope Fiddle feels better in the middle. And thanks to Brady Rubino and Gifford Gould for getting sub at youtube.com/The Action Network. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night for more best bets. Thanks for joining us. Till then, let's get buckets.